Thank you, Prime Minister, for being here today.
Well, thanks very much. I want to join with you, particularly in thanking Mark, Egon and Ernie, who we had the opportunity to talk with before. Every time I've come to this museum, it's an opportunity for young Australians to talk directly to Holocaust survivors and to understand, therefore, that anti-Semitism has consequences. More than 2 decades ago, I was part of a campaign against BDS in my own local government area. At the time, I argued that if you start targeting businesses because they happen to be owned by Jewish people, you'll end up with the Star of David above shops. And that ended in World War II during the Holocaust with 6 million lives lost, murdered. We need an end to anti-Semitism. It is evil. It diminishes us as a nation when we have events such as we saw here again overnight. To awake to this latest attack, just a matter of a couple of kilometres from here in Wallara, and to see since then as well there's been graffiti somewhere in Sydney as well. That is completely abhorrent to who we are as Australians. Holocaust survivors came to Australia because we are a tolerant country. We're one in which our whole Australian society is enriched by people living side by side of different faith, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. And we need a whole of government but whole of society as well effort to make sure this is stamped out. This museum plays an important role. This plays a role in education for everyone who comes here to be able to learn of the history, particularly of the Holocaust. This morning I was briefed early by AFP Commissioner Kershaw. I've also spoken today with Premier Chris Minns, and I know that Allegra Svenda, when I was talking with her earlier today, was having a meeting with the Police Minister here, Yasmin Catley, here in Sydney. I unequivocally condemn these shameful acts of violence aimed at the Jewish community. They are acts which are aimed at promoting fear in the community, and that, by any definition, is what terrorism is about. And we need to make sure that we learn the lessons of history which this museum shows us, and to say never again, but also to work across the board. I met with Gillian Siegel, wonderful, where I announced here, in fact, a few months ago, Gillian's appointment as the anti-Semitism envoy. Gillian, one of her first acts was to go to South America to a conference that was held of anti-Semitism envoys around the world, and Gillian will be going to Auschwitz in February, very end of January, where there'll be another gathering of anti-Semitism envoys, Gillian representing Australia, the Australian government there as our envoy. Tragically, that of course commemorating 80 years since 1945. One of the things that has been done there is to declare that the fight against anti-Semitism needs to be bipartisan, needs to be across the board. So in this time of grief and pain, we must all work together to heed the lessons of the past, but also education, of course, plays a role. Today, I'm announcing on behalf of the government $8.5 million to redevelop the Sydney Jewish Museum. This is funding that has been agreed previously through our budget process and is included in my EFO, the mid-year economic forecast that will come down next week. So this isn't a promise, this is funding that is there in the budget over the next 2 years. More than 55,000 people visit the museum this year, including around 35,000 high school students. And I want those young people to know this history. But also, with this funding, what will occur is able to provide education about Jewish culture and to get greater understanding of the contribution as well that Jewish Australians have made to our great country. I did an interview this morning on Radio National where I was asked a question where someone apparently rang in or texted and said, oh, this wasn't a targeting of Jews, this was about Israel. Well, I make this point. This is about Jewish Australians. This does whatever cause people are purporting to promote. It has nothing to do with that. It's just an anti-Semitic attack against Jewish Australians is what occurred here. Just like when I visited the Adass synagogue yesterday, and I thank very much the president of that synagogue as well, Mr. Spiegelman, who welcomed me into his home. We have two Spiegelmans. I've met the members of the family across the last 2 days, and his family welcomed me very generously, and we had a wonderful discussion with the school principal and with community leaders there as well. That disgraceful act of burning of a synagogue sends shivers down the spine of all Australians. We're a tolerant country. We're a country that is based upon respect for each other. And we will work with all of the authorities to make sure the perpetrators of these crimes, which is what they are brought to justice.